At this time, I'll call the June 8th, 2023 meeting to order for the Dickson County Commission. Would you please stand and join in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the agenda, we do not have any additions. And so at this time, I'd move that we approve the agenda as printed.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The consent agenda includes the minutes of the June 1st meeting, also payroll of $371,440.20.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. We have the motion and second for approval of the consent agenda. Any other discussion or question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Commission comments, Ron.
No comment.
Craig.
Yeah, I had a family that lived northwest of Chapman out in the country. Cox Communications putting up a line on Evergy's, and we'll look into seeing why the right of the utility company, their easement is through there. Because they come on their property and never give them any notification at all if they're going to be showing up. They just showed up. I went up there a couple nights ago. Luckily, it wasn't wet or anything because they went down that through where the power lines were. They made a big turnout and across their property. And if it had been muddy, they would have got on the other people's property and tore it up. So I told her I didn't think there was anything we could do, but I'll check and see what your easement is. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Earlier this morning, we continued our budget hearings and we had Leah Hearn here with the Treasurer's Office. We also had Rose Johns with the Register of Deeds and discussed that budget. And then also we had Nick Atchison here as a representative of the Tri-County Fair, telling us about what some of their needs were and also some of the upgrades and improvements that they're doing with the Tri-County Fair. And it's coming up July 6th, 7th, and 8th. So longstanding tradition as county fairs are. I also had Twyla Jackson stop by the office, and it was in regards to the church that she attends. She had not witnessed the accident, but there was a non-injury accident with two vehicles east of Enterprise, approximate location of the First Baptist Church. And the concern was that sometimes there's not much traffic there, but sometimes since it's a blacktop, people go a little bit faster than what it should be. And so anyway, they're looking at working with the county if there's a solution to have some warning signs to try to slow people down. And of course, the safety is what we're looking at, and that probably will lead to a discussion we'll need to have as a commission, as far as what we do countywide, because we receive occasionally reports on that. And, basically people need to slow down, and things can happen anytime, but especially when there is harvest season and special things and lots of farm equipment or situations like this at church, there's a little bit more traffic sometimes than others. I also received an email in regards to the wind turbines from the Hoffman family, and that's something that we also have a letter or email that was printed off, so all the commissioners would be aware and review that. That's all I have. We do not have any petitions. We do have a proclamation. And so I'll go ahead and read that at this time. This is in regards to Elder Abuse Awareness Month, June 2023. Whereas according to the National Council on Aging, 1 in 10 seniors in America experiences mistreatment or abuse, including domestic, sexual violence, financial exploitation, and neglect. And whereas abusers of older adults are both women and men, and are usually family members, caregivers, healthcare workers, or other trusted individuals. And due to the shame, fear, and other barriers elders face in reporting abuse, only a limited number of victims are able to get the help they need. Whereas elders throughout the United States lose an estimated $2.6 billion or more annually due to elder financial abuse and exploitation, such as illegal taking, misuse, or concealment of funds, property, or assets of the seniors for another benefit. And whereas too often elder abuse threatens the livelihood of older individuals, erodes their extraordinary potential, and increases their risk of death by 300% compared to seniors who have not been mistreated. And whereas Dickson County's vulnerable and older adults of all social, economic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds may be targets of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, which can occur in families, long-term care communities, and medical settings. And whereas we all have a responsibility to support the safety, welfare, and dignity of vulnerable and older adults, and must work together ending elder abuse by assisting victims in assessing the information and supporting services they need, creating better and more resources for older adults in need, instituting effective intervention and prevention policies, and engaging in the discussion with family members and peers to promote awareness and prevention of the quiet epidemic of elder abuse. Now, therefore, the Dickson County Commissioners hereby proclaim June 2023 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Dickson County and urge all citizens to work together to help protect elder adults from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, because it is imperative that we refuse to tolerate the indignity of elder abuse. Is there a motion for acceptance of this proclamation?
So move.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion or comment? And this was from DVAC, brought this forward to us. And so we have the motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And so this will be declared Elder Abuse Awareness Month on behalf of Dickson County Commission. We do not have any other proclamations. This is the point where we do have opportunity for public comment. And so if there is someone that would want to make comment on any item that is not on the agenda, this would be our opportunity to do so. We do not have anyone online, but if there's anyone here, just please step to the podium and give your name and address and what your concern is. And usually we have about 3 minutes or so for that. If there's anyone here on the front row, I know we have that other comment. We may hear additional information regarding they're with TCT.
Right.
At Browns Park. But, okay. So the three of you on front are just to observe and listen and okay. Oh, yes, go ahead, please.
My name's Pam Wells, and my address is 1543 1600 Avenue, Enterprise, Kansas. And regarding the wind farms, Doyle Seaman made a comment at the May 25th meeting, and Mr. Rohr's response was that the south end of the county needed to start pulling their weight. And I believe as taxpayers, we have been pulling our weight. My husband was employed with Great Plains Land Pride for 35 years. I was a state of Kansas employee for 33 years. We shop here in town. We buy our groceries here in town. We pay taxes. We pay taxes on the interest that we make to this county that we would only pay in 2 other counties in the state of Kansas. So I believe we are pulling our weight in Dickinson County. And if this happens, we are going to have wind farms catty corner from our home, which has health effects. So I know that I can't think of it, so nothing has been filed yet. But I know there are numerous contracts that have been signed, one of which is right beside my house. So I am very concerned about this issue. And I know there are a lot of other citizens in the south end of the county, which I believe you represent, Mr. Roller, that are concerned. So I'd like to know what your comment meant by pulling our weight.
Absolutely. And I do accept I do apologize if it was taken incorrectly. The amount of money the county gets 3 sections here, section 1, 2, and 3. We represent section 1, which is southern part of the county. And if you look at the gross revenue brought in from southern part of the county, it doesn't equal the gross revenue brought in from the other areas. Meaning that I'm competitive, obviously. I would like to compete with the other 2 commissioners and bringing that revenue back in here. Yes, everybody that lives in these areas pretty much patronize our communities and does well with that. But the amount of revenue that we bring in is not the amount of revenue that the other 2 bring in. So I think it needs to be.
Well, I think that the revenue is going to decrease if this happens,
Windmill.
because we will leave. We will not stay in Dickinson County, and we probably won't stay in the state of Kansas as far as that goes.
And I think
We
it
worked
correct.
10 years to get our home the way we want it to be so that we can enjoy our retirement. And now this is happening.
And fully understand. But I think in my statement, if you remember, and it can be played back also, I said it didn't necessarily have to be wind generators, but to bring revenue in. And I specifically said that to make sure that, and that's what I meant, that it's nice to have money coming in the pipeline, the businesses or whatever, and other income coming in, not necessarily the air or the windmills. So that by no means was taken that way at all.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we appreciate your patronage. We appreciate our hard work everybody's doing. But let's face it, we're in different times today. And we like to provide services to our communities. Those services that we all know what they are, the emergency services, our roads and bridges. And we can talk about the cost of all that stuff. It's prohibitive if you look at the cost of that. So again, I'm very sorry that was taken that way. It was meant not to hurt anybody. And I definitely make sure we change.
Okay. Can you tell me what you're doing to look into the dangers that the wind farms propose to agriculture and the farmers?
We have been through numerous meetings. We have read a bunch of information. We have gathered a bunch of information from local people in our areas. But remember, we're representing quite 18,000 people in this county here. And right now, we can give you the numbers of what has taken those opposed to that. And we haven't heard a lot from the other area. But we're not just a few that's going to dominate what's going to happen. We have to pull together and work as a team together here. And so we understand the homes that are being built out in the rural areas that are near these windmills, that the people, frankly, want to retire and stay there. They don't want those windmills near them. We understand that. We have taken a look at all that information. I have some property in Pottawatomie County, for example, but I was never even given the opportunity to say I don't want them. It was that choice was taken from me. And I resent that. Not that I wanted them, but I didn't have the choice. And I think have a choice is something we all fight for in this country called America. Fight for a choice to have a say in what goes on, especially the property that we pay taxes on and take care of. So, yeah.
One thing, just getting back to your question or statement, we do as a commission have received letters. And of course, we try to sift through those as far as the accuracy and the information. And I think one advantage that's about Dickinson County, there have been other counties that have dealt with this issue.
Correct.
With different outcomes.
Correct.
But we have the advantage maybe to learn of some of the experiences that they have had. And so that is something to factor in. And, unfortunately, this is one of those issues that you have one on one side and one on the other. And, there's not really a middle ground type solution. But as of yet, we have not received any official request. And we do welcome, and there's opportunity to send us emails or letters or public comment like we have here. But also, once it officially, there has been a request, you'll go through a conditional use permit where there would be a public hearing. And, that way we know exactly where we're at. But having said that, every indication, because as you've said, there's people that have signed contracts and individuals that have, property owners that have been notified or visited with. So, we know there's something in the works. I mean, that's the direction it's headed to, but it hasn't happened yet.
And I understand there's been a meeting with the county and the wind farms.
Not as far as the county commission has not met with the wind farms, but staff has, and this is one of I'll just use the example. If someone wanted to put any sort of store or economic development or project to do their due diligence, they would get in touch with staff just to see what zoning regulations are and what steps they need to do to prepare for that. And so that's not out of the ordinary, and that doesn't necessarily mean, yes, we're going to do everything you want.
Right.
But there have been those discussions and inquiries.
Okay. Can you tell me if there is a permit requested, how long does that process take? I just recently found out about this, so I'm just starting my research.
And I would direct that to staff if.
So we're not anticipating that the application would be submitted until late fall, possibly early winter. And then it would start with the Planning and Zoning Board. They would have a meeting and then they would have a hearing, and that's probably not going to take place until next year, early part of next year.
Okay.
Letters would be sent to areas of influence. So with where we're hearing that the project could be, you would receive a letter advising when the public hearing would take place. Then you're welcome to come in and we would take public comments then.
Okay.
Once the Planning and Zoning Board reviews it, they could add more conditions to it. They could make a recommendation to say no or make a recommendation to say yes. Then it would move to the county commission. They would also have the same process.
Okay.
And we would have public hearing and public comments then too.
Okay.
So we'll probably try to do both things at the same time,
Okay.
but we're not at that point to make that decision.
Okay. Are the planning and zoning meetings open to the public?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're working on getting them posted on our website. So
Okay.
we've had some changes and some, yes, we'll just go with that.
Right. And I was looking at the zoning regulations and the wind farm is listed in the contents, but it's not in the book. So I'd like to get a copy of that, what the regulations are currently on the wind farms.
Okay.
And I also recently became aware of an article about a windmill arm that was broken in the northeastern part of the county. Of the state, I'm sorry. And a representative from the state of Kansas has tried to do stuff about it with the environmental people, and nothing's been done. It's been broken since April, flapping in the wind, spreading fiberglass all over the farmer's ground. They cannot feed their cattle. They cannot farm this ground anymore because there's fiberglass all over it. And the southern part of the county is mostly agricultural. And that affects not only us that live out there, but it affects the people that want to eat that beef and want to eat that wheat. So this doesn't affect just the people that are going to be looking at them and having health effects from it. It affects everybody, not only in the state, in the county, but probably in the state that are eating those products.
So
We're in the process of reaching out. I believe it's up around Frankfort, Kansas, but we want to get some confirmation of the details. And so we do look into some of the follow up on some of the things that we hear about, just to see if they are applicable to our situation.
And part of that would be an agreement. If this project goes through, we would have an agreement with the wind farm company of what their responsibilities are, and then fines attached to that. We also have bonds that will be required that those monies could be used for cleanup or repair. So just depends on the company that was there. If this is correct, company that was there, what agreement the county has in place and how they're pursuing that. So
will you be able to review the contracts that they have with these people? And because
we don't get to review the lease contracts. That's private.
So what if the contracts are in violation to what you're?
Well, each county is kind of a separate entity with a separate contract. So we would have staff and our attorney review contracts just to, see if there are concerns, but just the fact that we review the contract doesn't mean we have acceptance of the contract in place.
Right.
So,
Well,
but anyway, this is kind of an ongoing process, so
right,
we'll,
right. And I will be happy to send you the article that I'm referring to.
Okay.
And it has a picture of the broken blade that has been broken since April. The company has done nothing. The environmental department has done nothing. Nobody is helping these people. And the contract that they have is very one-sided and favors the wind company. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Yeah, well, we have a little bit more time, and I know we kind of compacted everything.
I'll restate my name. My name's Angie Schwartzegger. I'm with TCT. And as our subsidiary is TCW Broadband. I don't have an address, my personal cell for Dickinson County, but we have, our solution center is over on 14th Street. I think it's 420 Northeast, or Northwest, excuse me, 14th Street. And we have served rural residents in Dickinson County for over 60 years. Recently, as 2015, we've completed our broadband, fiber to the premise broadband build that for our incumbent area. I didn't get you a good letter from me.
Thank you.
Anyway, so you'll see in your letter, you're just in the midst of kind of negotiating with Browns on bringing service to them. We are still in the process, and since grants haven't been successful, we want to go ahead and get that built if we can. So that's where we're at with that. I don't know if that will be successful or not, but if it is, we would hope that if the commission would still allow those funds to be earmarked for that project, we'd appreciate it. If not, we understand, but we just thought we wouldn't get it if we didn't ask.
And probably at some point, and maybe you've identified it, I haven't looked through all of the information. What area of houses would be impacted? I know just west of Brown's home, there's several houses. There's some that are kind of set back more in the hill, closer to.
I can get you guys that design at
some
a
south.
later date.
Okay.
We have engineering plans. I can't tell you addresses off my head. I didn't bring all that with me, but I can certainly provide that for an upcoming meeting if you wish. Like I said, we're still in that process of talking to people in that area, and we've still got to reach out to the residents to see who would be interested in that. When we did our grant, we had a lot of interest. We had letters of support from just about every residential, a lot of the residential folks around there. So I can get that information for you if you want, and bring our plant director, who would be a lot more intelligent about that than me.
Well, and there's about 8 houses or 10 just within a mile of that area.
Yes.
And then the
And right now they're
scout camp, but I'm sure there'd be people that are,
along the route.
so yeah, so if you go a mile away or 2 miles away, are you out of reach or you, but anyway, but if you get that information.
Yeah.
So we'd know what the impact area is that can
Okay.
benefit from it,
Okay.
as well as Browns.
Yeah, I can do that. But I just wanted to get this on your mind in case things are, in case we move forward.
Okay.
And that's all I'm doing right now. Just asking for an open mind. And then when things hopefully go successfully, we'll come back to that.
Well, really all through the rural areas of Kansas, I mean, there's a concern and a hope for, we take it for granted if we have internet service and so on. And, there's areas where it's a little tougher coverage.
Yes, a lot of people who have what's called fixed wireless, which I referred to that in my previous statement, that when the FCC changed, the fixed wireless carriers from all over the country came in and just bid on those areas. And it was like a 10-year build out, and it doesn't happen. That kind of ties up those funds for those people in that meantime, which is kind of unfair, but we're trying to just move forward cautiously, smartly, but still help our rural neighbors if we can.
Well, we appreciate TCT being here in Dickinson County, and the home office, I believe, is what Council Grove,
Council.
but reaches into various parts of Dickinson County,
Yes.
as well as your store here in Abilene.
Yes. We appreciate being here and love it. So thank you.
Thank you. So I don't believe we have any other public comments, and so we'll go on to our next item on the agenda is our report of county officers. Janelle?
So PBX completed the epoxy coating in the 1500 block of Rain Road, the bridge there. They actually came in very quickly and did that, so that's great. And they've now moved to the 2800 block of Fair Road. And hopefully that will be done by the end of this week. And then Monday, they will be at Old 40 in Eden to put the epoxy coating on that. And if you recall, you approved this last August. Approved this last August. So, and the intent of the epoxy coating on the bridge decks is to extend the life of that 10, 15 years is our hope. So the roads are closed. So we're trying to make sure that we get the message out, and we do have our electronic signs in those locations so they know that they're closed. They have completed the paving project on Old 40 south of Chapman. They were finishing up some cleanup work yesterday with the driveways and the shoulders, so that's good. You passed the quarter-cent sales tax resolution last week. We had a 911 advisory board meeting last Tuesday night and discussed our process, how we're going to move forward with that. And we'll set up meetings with service organizations, with city councils, and the project will be on the sales tax question will be on the ballot on November 7th. So as I reported to you earlier, we did have an area on the new pavement that we had just completed around Browns Park that side by side had caught on fire and burned about a 24 by 24 foot area. So luckily no one was hurt. The repairs have been made, so which is a good thing. So, and that would be all I have right now.
Okay, thank you. Doug?
The only thing I have to report would be the tax sale's coming up on the 27th. And so we're a little less than 3 weeks from that. I would encourage anybody who wants to keep their property that they would get it redeemed, pay the taxes, and have that taken care of before we go with the sale. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Notices and communications. Actually, on some of the communications, I covered those on my commission comments. So I don't believe there's anything else that we do have, unless Craig or Ron, if you had anything you wanted to bring up. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Our next item is to consider resolution 06082023. And Janelle, if you'd go ahead and give us some of the background information on this in regards to a speed limit reduction.
So Terry Swearingen, who is a Willowdale Township officer, reached out to Martin Tannehill and asked if the county would consider posting a reduced speed limit. All of the county roads, gravel roads, by state statute, the speed limit is 55 miles an hour unless otherwise posted. And I believe that there's been a lot of speeding going down there. It's on the 2500 Avenue between Fair and Daisy Road, and they would like to have a speed limit sign posted there. So in the event that deputies are there, they can write a ticket, issue a ticket for that. So there's concern with safety and security. So part of the process is we have to have our county engineer take review the area that they're requesting this, and Chad McCullough has done that. It fits within the geometrics, the topography, and the conditions of that 3 mile stretch. And so he sees no issue with the county commission approving the request to reduce the speed limit to 35 miles an hour between Daisy and Fair on 2500 Avenue. So, and per KSA 8-1560, that is within your purview to do that. So, and according to Martin, we would probably have 6 signs that would be posted along that area. So I don't have a cost what those signs would be, but that would be borne by Willowdale Township.
Is there, I guess from the discussion, if I understood earlier, the county could eventually say, unless posted otherwise, this is the maximum speed on roads?
That is something that we will review. I know that there are other counties in the state that have done that for their gravel roads for safety again. And we'll get some more information on that and discuss that. We've had some other townships come in and visit. They visited with me and they visited with Martin about having that. Speed limits.
So would we have to go back and modify the resolution, say if we came up with a 40 mile per hour or 45, or I know that particular road, that what I recall, even though it's a gravel road, it's a little bit of a wider
Right.
road than the typical gravel roads.
And I think it's obviously highly traveled.
So then it's, go ahead, Craig.
Is it town, it's maintained by the township or the county?
It is maintained by the township. That's why they're making the request.
So the signage would come out of the township budget. And, okay.
So, and that would be a Doug question if we wanted to, and we'll speak with him about that. If it's already been posted at 35 miles an hour and we say we wanted to do 40 miles per hour across the county, how we would go about proceeding with that. So we'll make sure we've got that legally correct if this is how you choose to move forward with.
Do we need to have that discussion first, or do you think take care of this and the other maybe months ahead?
Not being one as an attorney, but if you've already got it posted at 35 and we go countywide at 40, it'd still be 35.
That's how I would take it too, yes.
Unless otherwise posted.
Yeah.
Exactly, unless other, yeah.
Okay.
I move we accept resolution number
0608, 2023.
here.
I'll second it.
We have the motion to adopt the resolution 06, we'll start over, 0608, 2023. This is in regards to the speed limit reduction for Willow Township, that specified area of that road. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. This kind of a follow-up on some of the discussion, Janelle, on this. If there were other areas, and Craig clarified that was a township road or a county road that was, the township has the jurisdiction, but if it's another area, Blacktop, where it's a county road, that'd be county funds to pay for a sign.
Mhm.
And then, of course, if it's a state road,
It's on the state.
it's on the state. So, and we don't have the jurisdiction on that, or.
Right.
Okay. But I guess that's one of the concerns I have is I would like to see some consistency throughout the county, so you don't have a situation where 1 mile, you've got one speed limit and all of a sudden it just changes and the road is still pretty much the same condition and same route, but
Mhm.
we're trying to have safety, I think, is our intent, and not set up speed traps.
Well, if you sign read right, it's 40 mile an hour unless posted otherwise. And if it's posted 35, that's speed limit.
Right.
Sure. Okay, we do not have any items under unfinished business. Under other business, we had a thank you letter that had been crafted to be sent to Governor Kelly. And Janelle, if you would go ahead and explain what that's in regards to one of her vetoes. If you'd give us the details on that.
So the Saline County Chair had drafted a letter to Governor Kelly, a thank you letter stating they appreciate her veto of Senate Bill 8, which is basically the government competition bill. And in discussions with the Saline County Administrator, he brought that to our attention and we discussed it last week. And the government competition bill was when the government should not compete with the private sector when those businesses are providing goods and services. And if the county government or any municipality that provides the same service, then they couldn't be in competition. And we watched this bill. It started out with Senate Bill 252, and we watched this as it moved through the legislature. And then when it went to committee, it seemed like it was going to die. And then it was brought back out at the last minute in Senate Bill 8. The issues that we have concerns with, one is the senior centers if there's a restaurant in town and we're providing food through our senior centers because we provide funding, then that's competition. So does that mean our senior centers have to close? The other issue was childcare. So if we provide funding to, for instance, the childcare centers that we're supporting, is that competition? The bill is very vague in its language, and I think it needs some more work on that. So we drafted a letter, showing our appreciation that the governor recognized that, and the bill needs some work, and we appreciate her vetoing it until maybe some changes could take place. So that's kind of a little of the history of that.
And some of the origin of that was a health place in Wichita felt that the YMCA had an unfair advantage. And so they were trying to get kind of a tax break of what the YMCA would get. And then it just expanded beyond that, and was heard in committee, came out of committee, but then all of a sudden got packaged in or bundled with another bill at the very end of the session. And when you talk to some of the legislators, they'll say, well, yes, there was some good in the bill, but anyway, they package it. And so it's a little bit of a disadvantage. There's no hearing on it. It just, in the last day or two of the session, it gets either defeated or forced through. So that was something that really would have some unintended consequences as far as cities, municipalities, and counties are concerned. As far as a tax shift so in this particular instance, it was helpful that we show some support that there was a veto that took place. And obviously this is going to come up again, probably in the next session, some of the same issues. And so is there a motion to go ahead and send this letter from Dickson County Commission to the governor of Kansas?
So move.
I'll second it. We have the motion and the second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I do have one spelling correction. I
Yes,
noticed
saw
in the
that.
letter, so
Jennifer saw it,
we'll
yeah.
go ahead and take care of that. But it's just a misspelling, nothing to do with the content. Is there any other thing to bring before the commission?
You might talk about the dates, June 14th.
Upcoming meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have a few meetings coming up, and actually there's one on the 13th of June. And there's a military
Lynn's gone.
There's a military affairs
Well, we don't
council
need-
breakfast with the Riley Conference at the Riley Conference Center, Fort Riley, and it is for Manhattan and Junction City and area combined. And then also the commanding general had invited members of the commission to attend the Calvary Museum dedication. And it's later that afternoon. Of course, it's been closed for remodeling. And then we have a drug court graduation. And this is our first graduation. And it will be held here at the Dickson County Courthouse at 3:30.
Correct.
And then I think we do have some other events, but we'll announce those at our next Thursday meeting. So stay tuned. And all things considered, the commissioners were participating in different boards. And so there's usually 2 or 3 or 4 events that almost take place weekly that we make an attempt to attend or staff attends. So, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
We've got the motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.